So welcome to Roehampton. This is the Roehampton Partnership Mentor Training video, and we're going to be taking you through some details about the Roehampton PGCE Teacher Training Programme, and we're also going to be taking you through how we assess some of the progress that our trainees make. Now, this is really important because we don't have enough teachers, we don't have enough qualified teachers in this country, and the role of the mentor in school in making sure that new teachers can make the most of their potential and begin their career in teaching really successfully is very, very important. In fact, this has been recognised by the government recently because they have set out a new set of mentor standards. And what this video is going to do is to make sure that if you're an experienced mentor, you'll get some details from us about what the Roehampton programme is like. That's one of the things that the government wants teacher training providers to do. But if you're a new mentor, this video is going to be useful for you because it's going to introduce you to all the key dates, the key things you have to do, and the key paperwork or processes that you're going to need to work through. And the other thing that we're going to be able to go on to do is to explain what the Roehampton programme is like. If you're an experienced mentor and you've worked with other providers perhaps, you'll know that every trainee has to do 120 days in school. And those 120 days are with you and they're absolutely crucial to their development. But the Roehampton programme has some other elements to its training. Some of the training takes place in subject-based rooms like this one where we're making the film, which is a design and technology room. And we also have sessions where we take the trainees into school to visit departments where there's excellent subject teaching, and we call those learning rounds. And another distinctive element of the Roehampton programme is that we have professional studies hub schools. So some of our professional studies training takes place in excellent schools where the trainees can go and see experienced teachers modelling the kinds of things that they need to understand, and they're given a chance at the end of the day to discuss those sessions and to understand what they've seen.
Right, okay, so the next bit we're going to look at is the mentor training that we're providing this year. So to start with, in this term, we're doing generic mentor training, and we're looking at all the paperwork and the process for how to support our trainees. In the spring term, we'll be looking at doing some more subject-related mentor training, so that each of the subject tutors will be inviting you to a session where you can come in and talk specifically about your subject, and hopefully that will provide you as well with some free CPD regarding your subject. And then in the summer term we'll be holding a conference which will be research based, but everyone will be able to come to that, and hopefully we'll be inviting lots of our partners to come and join us. Okay, so we'll have a look at the timetable first. For the foundation placement, we need all our trainees to have at least 8 hours on their timetable for teaching across the 4 days. Obviously, they'll be out on a Wednesday to come to university or to have a PS hub day. A further 8 hours should be put over for observation of other lessons, for their mentor meeting, for any PS that is happening in the school, and for any ad hoc CPD that the school may decide to provide. After that, the rest of the lessons are free for planning and prep. So now we need to have a look at the timetable that we need all our trainees to complete and send back to their subject tutor for them to have a good look at and to make sure that all of the timetable is compliant. You may have given them a timetable to show them when they will be teaching, but we actually need them to translate that onto this timetable because this has a lot more information on it that we require when we're doing our school visits. So where possible, we would like all of our trainees to have experience across the age ranges from 11 to 18. Now, although we are only 11 to 16 for most courses apart from English and history, then we would still like it, if at all possible, for them to have Key Stage 5 experience. So if you could provide that, we would be very grateful. Although we may expect all our trainees to start teaching after half term, it may be that some need a more gradual introduction to teaching if they are a bit nervous perhaps. But hopefully everyone will start teaching as soon as possible For next term, the trainees will be ramping up their hours, so they will be doing approximately 14 or 15 hours of teaching across the 4 days. And then in the consolidation phase, when they are in school for full time for the 5 days, we would expect them to have a timetable of about 18 hours.
We asked our trainees what they expected of their mentors, and they came up with this wonderful list. They want mentors to be approachable, knowledgeable, supportive, honest, inspiring, organised, sense of humour, professional. As you can see, it's a long list, but the essence of it is that you know your stuff and that you're there for them in a very, very supportive way. This has come from our trainees, but we've also worked with some very experienced academics who look into mentoring, and these are Rachel Lofthouse and Matt O'Leary. So Matt O'Leary's got a wonderful book out which can help mentors vary the way in which they conduct their classroom observations, and we highly recommend that you get hold of this book. I can give you a little snippet, some ideas from it. So for example, Matt O'Leary says rather than just kind of say what's good and what's bad about a lesson, you could see which roles a teacher was playing. You could say, well, you were more a presenter role or a facilitator, or you were a motivator, or you were a coach. I'm not going to go through all of the ideas. My favourite one is you can give feedback on the lesson as if it were a story. Rachel Lofthouse has got some very good ideas about the way in which a mentor can set the atmosphere up in a department. So rather than do absolutely all of the work, the role of the mentor might be to set the tone of the department and make sure that generally the trainee is being looked after.
From a school's perspective, we expect our trainees to take into consideration 2 things. Firstly, the day-to-day life of the school, the practicalities, and secondly, the pedagogy and the teaching and learning around their subject. In the first instance, on a practical note, plan well, be where you need to be, being punctual, and be organised, hopefully engaging in the day-to-day life of the school. In the second instance, we would like our trainees to ensure that they are sharing their passion for their subject, their willingness to learn, and imparting this knowledge with their students. And finally, for them to develop into, with your help as mentors, with the department, PCM and subject tutors, into critical, reflective practitioners.
Inevitably, the role of the mentor evolves as the placement goes along. So first of all, when your trainee meets you, you will be in the role as a model. You will be modelling good practice, you will be showing the students how it's done. You might co-teach and co-plan, and you will certainly be an observer. As the year progresses, you become more of a guide and a reflective colleague, so the dialogue becomes a little bit more equal. And on the third level of progress, you become a colleague and a coach.
Now we're going to have a look at some things going on forward this term into next term. Right, so now I'm going to tell you a little bit about Abyasa Pro. This is the link here to our online database where we are storing all of the progress and data for our students this year. If you follow this link, it will take you into the database. All our mentors should have a username and password. On at the same time as this video is an Abyasa Pro video that you can find on the link that we've sent out. That will be available all year for everyone to have a look at in terms of the mentoring and what they need to do on the database. So when you are looking at the assessment for your trainees this term, although you're doing the interim assessment very soon, what we wouldn't expect is that any of the trainees would get highs across the board for their training. So it's unlikely that they would have highs across the board this term because they haven't had complete access to be able to show that much evidence. We would expect that as they go through the term, they would make progress towards the foundation profile, and then into next term when they're in the developmental and the consolidation phase, so that hopefully by the end they will have shown progress from minimum to good and hopefully to high at the end. Okay, your trainee needs to meet you once a week for an hour, and we hope that all of the schools are allowing you to have this time off your timetable so that you can have that meeting. This meeting is really, really crucial in order to help the trainees, and they need to have that learning conversation with you in order to make progress and set targets for the following week. Your trainee needs to be observed once a week formally. That observation can be done by the mentor, it can be done by a class teacher, it could be done by the PCM, but it could also be done by the subject tutor when they come out and see the trainee. That observation, whether it's written, typed or put on Abyasa directly, needs to be uploaded to Abyasa so that we can regularly keep a check on our students whilst we are not there. So if you do need to type it or you want to write it, that is absolutely fine, but if your trainee could upload it to Abyasa, then we have sight of it here at Roehampton. Your trainee needs you to assess their progress formally this term, initially through the interim and then summatively at the end of term with the profile. The evidence that they have gained during the term can be put in the profile at the end. So for this term it's foundation, for next term developmental, and for the summer term consolidation. The support and improvement process is a new process that we're trialling this year, but it should be put in place between the subject tutor, the mentor, the PCM, the school and the trainee in order to provide a lot of support for that trainee for whatever reason to make sure that they can make progress. Here is the link for our external Moodle site. So this is for all our partners to have access to all of our course documentation, all the mentor training, papers, videos. The Matt O'Leary classroom observation booklet is actually in there because we have the PDF from him, which is brilliant. And all of the professional studies that our trainees do whilst they're here at Roehampton or in PS Hub schools. If you want to log in, the login is up the top there, but we've also sent it out regularly on the newsletter. The last thing I'd like to draw your attention to is the partnership policy we have. This is a three-way agreement between ourselves at Roehampton, the school, the mentor and the trainee. If you can read it, it is on Abyasa, and then what we need you to do is put your electronic signature by ticking the box in your user ID on Abyasa, and we will then take that you have read and agreed with the policy.
So we'd like to thank you for watching this video. As we said at the start, we don't have enough really great teachers in this country, and the role of mentor in school is absolutely vital to the profession. So however busy you are, what you're doing as a mentor is really, really important. We are interested in your comments on the video, so feel free to leave your name with a comment. If we haven't answered a question that you had about mentoring with Roehampton, you're also welcome to leave a question or to email us. So thank you very much for watching.